Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you one of the best, in my opinion, the best Camaros ever made. Right over here, this is the 2016 Chevrolet Camaro. And then the reason this is one of the best is because of the design and the overall performance. However, in 2025, this vehicle has been discontinued, but people actually like this design and this front end of the Camaro way better than the new 2024 one. So that's why I'm calling this one of the best. And is it still worth picking one up in 2025? And starting with the front end, just like a Camaro, is fantastic. And this is also the convertible version. So as you can see, this thing looks amazing. And one thing was that they still kept kind of the iconic design of the Camaro with this front grille and this front V shape. We do have LED headlights and DRLs, LED lights on the side as well. And overall, the design looks amazing, especially with the blue paint, and also with these blacked out stripes. We have these 20-inch rims as well. Of course, this is not the super sportier version. This is just the LT trim with the V6. So this is not the SS. This is not the SS2. This is not the ZL1. So we really don't get any carbon fiber splitters and stuff. And of course, we don't get the big Brembo brakes as well, which we do get in the SS and also the ZL1. But however, these 20-inch rims still look quite good. And then with our roof down, it does give it a clean look from the back as well. And then the front black stripes come all the way through the back. And then just in the back, just like the traditional, like the old Camaro, we still do get these iconic LED taillights in the back. Our blacked out Chevy emblem, which matches with our black stripes. And the small spoiler, and overall in the back, this thing has a really clean look and it looks amazing. The only thing we're missing is in a good old V8, but other than that, this V6 version still looks fantastic. We do have dual exhaust, and this is the RS trim. So powering this Camaro is a 3.6 liter naturally aspirated V6, which makes 335 horsepower and 288 pound-feet of torque as compared to an 8-speed automatic transmission. We also had a 6-speed manual transmission as well. It was an option. And we kind of had 4 engine options. This was like the mid-tier V6. We had the 2-liter turbocharged, which made around 275 horsepower. Then we have the 6.2-liter naturally aspirated V8, which made 455 horsepower. And then we also had the 6.2-liter supercharged, which was available in the ZL1. But overall, the engine bay looks quite clean. It's not as clean as other premium European vehicles. Of course, at the end of the day, this is still not Chevy. However, this engine is, I would say, one of the best if you want a good balance between economy and then also between power. We do have keyless entry, guys. So starting with the interior of this Chevy Camaro, in my opinion, this interior is not the best, but overall is quite good with the overall layout and everything for this type of vehicle. One thing I would really like to mention is we do get a lot of hard plastic, for example on the door panel, and you can see it does move. However, this vehicle does has around 75k miles on it, so we entirely can't blame for the vehicle's quality. Of course, over time things do tend to get bad. However, this dash is all hard plastic. I mean, it kind of does make sense because this was not the highest end Camaro out there either. And then even if it was the highest end, plastic is still lighter than leather, so it does save a little bit of weight. Currently with the top down, the inside and the interior, it feels really nice. And in this vehicle, it is also push start. The V6 comes to life. And then starting right over here, we do have our steering wheel, which is also heated. But unfortunately, it is not entirely leather wrapped. Instead, we do get some kind of synthetic going around entirely of the dash. We do have memory seats, which are also heated and vented. And this vehicle also has head-up display. I'm not sure if you guys can see it right over there. But the one thing I like about GM is when they put head-up display, they will also give you 3 easy access controls to like adjust your head-up display while you're driving the vehicle, up and down, the information, and then to adjust the brightness. And like most other vehicles, they don't have physical controls. Instead, I have to go through the infotainment system and stuff. So like this is way easier, especially if you're driving. The one thing I do like is they did put Camaro in the middle instead of putting a Chevy, because that does kind of let you know that this is just not a Chevy, this is not a Camaro. Like it's just more, of course, it isn't a sportier vehicle. We do have cruise control. Unfortunately, we don't have adaptive cruise control or lane keep assist. However, we do get this analog/digital cluster, especially with those like red accents on the dials. This does look amazing. And also we do have different selections. And then of course, as I was saying before, this kind of like being the V6, we do get quite decent amount of gas mileage on the highway. You can get around 25 to 26 on the highway, and then around 18 in the city. I can also bring up my performance gauges, for example, my G-force, our oil temperature, and of course this is like really easy to use. And it like also does bring out on a small map as well. Okay guys, so like starting with the center dash over here, we do have this 8.4 infotainment system, and it's actually running the Chevy's old Link system. However, we do have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, but it's only if you have it plugged in via USB. However, I kind of don't like the way this display is designed. We have it on like an angle. The angle is if you have your roof down, you will get less sun glare. It doesn't make sense why they have it like this, but if you're driving, it's not the best, because you do have like to look at it really carefully to actually see where you're looking because of the angle of the display. Instead, they could have just made like some kind of a motor that like where you can just adjust it how you want the display, but this is like fixed in place. We don't have an option for that. And of course, this is a 2016 operating system, so it's not the best. However, it's not laggy at all. Like, it's quite decent. And we also do have nav. Of course, this is an old navigation system, but it still works and it's still smooth. We do have physical controls right over here, as was mentioning before. Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, built-in weather. We do have 4G LTE data as well. I mean, technically, this is all you need from an infotainment system. So the infotainment system is 8 out of 10, even though it is kind of running on the older OS. We do have OnStar system in this vehicle as well, just like other GM vehicles. And then right over here, we do have an dual climate control system, heated vented seats. And the one thing I like is the way Chevy actually went quite clever with our air vents. They also act as a dial to adjust your temperature, and then also as an air vent as well. So that's not quite a nice feature we have, and it's really easy to use. And moving on down below, however, one thing I don't like, this is all hard plastic going on. The quality is not the best. This is also all hard plastic. We do have this really nice gear shifter which says Camaro on it. It does bring up a rear view camera. One thing I do like about GM vehicles, their camera quality is top notch. And I do also have pedal shifters as well if I put it to drive. Now I can use the pedal shifters to adjust the gears. We do have our traction control button, and then our mode selector. We do have 3 modes: Snow White, Sport, and Tour. We do have a 12-volt lighter port right over there, electronic parking brakes, 2 cup holders right over here. And to be honest, there's literally not enough storage in the center console. However, it does give you access for like 2 USB ports, which can also be used to plug in your device to use Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. And also we do have a wireless charging pad. However, the positioning of it is kind of off. But the one thing I will say is this vehicle was made in 2016, and then back in the day, of course, they didn't have that big phones. My iPhone 16 Pro with the case on kind of really doesn't fit in this area. And I believe even if I take off the case, because of this indent over here, I still can't charge my phone. So this is kind of a bummer that they really did have to put these things right over here where we can't even charge new phones. So it's kind of useless, but if you do have a smaller phone, like an iPhone 13 mini or something, that should fit right over here perfectly fine. And then of course we do have the 2 extra seats in the back, but to be honest, they're kind of unusable. So right now I'm 6 foot, and then I'm currently in my driving position, and then behind me there's literally not even enough room at all. Yes, it's quite good if you have small childs, but for 2 adults it's impossible to actually fit in the back. One thing I would like to mention is the visibility in this vehicle. It is atrocious. If I do pull back the roof, which I will show you, we have a controller right over here. I'm just gonna press and hold this like this. The rear storage pulls up, and there comes our roof. Everything locks into place and we're good to go. But now just look what I see in the rear. That is kind of the only thing I can see what's behind me. And look in the back, like the visibility in this vehicle is really bad. And of course, if we do want the convertible, that does sacrifice your storage space. So if you don't have the convertible, then you get in a full-size trunk all the way over here. But since this area over here stores the roof when it's not in use, this is all the space we get. It is quite bad, and I mean, kind of, if you do have your roof up, then of course it will give you a full storage space all the way through, just like how we have it in our other Camaros. It's still not the best, but it's still quite decent for a 2-seater vehicle. But of course, if we do have this in place right over here, then the only visible storage and the useful storage we get is this area. It's quite deep, but it's not really that practical at all. Okay, so the final question is the vehicle still worth it in 2025? In my opinion, this vehicle is amazing. We have like this current vehicle with a V6, and this is the RS trim, is currently at Chevrolet of Commerce. They're selling it for $20K. And please do check them out, because if you're interested in buying a new vehicle, they will give you free lifetime warranty on it if you do purchase it from them. And then also, if you guys want the SS, which like has the 6.2 V8, that will set you back close to 25 and even 30K if it has low miles on it. But if you want the king of them all, the ZL1, which makes over 650 horsepower, that will set you back close to 50K. Better for the budget and for the power you get. Of course, you don't get the best technology, but you still get Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and in my opinion, that's all you basically need for an budget-friendly sports car. And then if you guys did enjoy this video, please do like and subscribe.